and the omnibus. So I was forced into the Archers when I was a child. And look, it's come back to bite me later on. I'm awash with this stuff.
The Archers is the world's longest-running radio show, with more than 15,000 episodes broadcast. Despite being a rural flavor show, The Archers is recorded in the heart of...
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to pull out the most important bits of knowledge and insight from some really unique sources. And today we've got a fascinating one. It's actually an audio excerpt from a popular radio drama. Yeah, so our mission isn't just, recapping a story. We're really trying to uncover the real-world insights, maybe some surprising dilemmas, and those universal human truths that are kind of woven into these everyday chats. Think of it like a masterclass in human behavior, all drawn from these, vivid slice-of-life moments between fictional characters. It's pretty amazing how fiction can sometimes show us so much about ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. It really can. And while... yeah, this is fiction. The problems, the choices these characters face, they feel incredibly real, very relatable. So we'll be digging into things like communication, modern parenting challenges, especially with tech, conflict resolution, and even, how to manage the chaos the morning after a party. It's amazing how these seemingly small moments actually offer some pretty big lessons if you listen closely.
Okay, let's jump right in then. That central dilemma, the argument about 7-year-old Rosie getting a mobile phone. Pip has such a strong reaction when Toby mentions promising Rosie even a basic phone. What strikes you there?
Well, it's Pip's reaction. It's almost visceral, isn't it? It cuts straight to that core parental anxiety we see so much today. She's not just worried about the phone itself. It's the whole digital world it opens up. She lists very specific fears. Mm-hmm. Internet access, even if it's meant to be basic. The danger of strangers calling. That line, a complete stranger can say anything, get her to do anything, that's powerful. Mm-hmm. And then the worry about cameras, videos ending up online. She can video as Pip or herself and it'll end up online. And it just shows that for parents now, even a so-called basic phone isn't really basic, it's a gateway. And they're deeply worried about how safe that gateway is.
Right, and it's not just the tech fears, is it? You immediately see this clash in parenting styles or philosophies between Pip and Stella. Pip's really focused on consistency. She mentions all the parenting gurus.
Yeah.
While Stella's first thought is more about compromise. She says, parenting is all about compromise and rewarding the little things.
Exactly. It's that classic tightrope, isn't it? Wanting clear boundaries, but also wanting to be flexible. Use positive reinforcement.
So how does communication, or maybe the lack of it, play into this? Toby just promised the phone?
Oh, that's huge. This whole scenario just screams how vital prior consultation is in co-parenting. Yeah. Absolutely critical, especially for big things like a kid's first phone. Toby making that promise on his own, it immediately causes a breakdown.
Yeah.
Pip feels like she's not being heard, accuses Stella of going off on one, says she wasn't getting a word in.
Right.
And Stella feels attacked. She pushes back against Pip, jumping to mad conclusions. It's such a common trap. When you're not aligned up front, small disagreements can blow up into big fights about the relationship itself, not just the phone.
Okay, but then there's that twist, isn't there? Stella's final decision. She initially seemed open to compromise.
Yeah, that's really insightful, actually. Despite talking about compromise earlier, she eventually tells Pip, quite firmly, she was never going to let Rosie have a phone. And importantly, she adds, she'd already told Toby everything you said. So she did hear Pip. She validated those concerns. But the real compromise, the clever bit, is her alternative, promising extra time for her to call him and video call so they feel more connected. So the compromise wasn't about the device itself. It was about finding another way to meet that underlying need connection without the risks Pip was worried about.
That's a great point. It's not just meeting in the middle.
Exactly. It suggests that sometimes the best solutions come from really listening to the why behind someone's position, not just the what.
So, thinking about tech for kids in our own lives, maybe this deep dive suggests that getting past these arguments isn't always about finding a middle ground on the tech itself. It's more about understanding the anxieties underneath, and then finding creative ways to meet the actual needs. How could actively listening for those deeper concerns, not just the surface arguments, maybe help you navigate similar talks in your own family? Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. Leaving the phone drama behind, we land right in the middle of this chaotic, messy morning after Tracy's party. The description is just brilliant. The house like a tornado, a very drunk tornado. Mm-hmm. And the peak moment, Susan Carter finding Martin Gibson, who has somehow lost his trousers.
Yeah, you can almost feel the collective hangover just from the description.
You really can.
And it's like a little snapshot of social dynamics, isn't it? What's really interesting is how everyone reacts differently to the chaos.
Yeah.
You've got Jazzer, massively hungover, complaining he can't even bend my head yet, but he's got to be at work at Stuart Barrow in exactly 29 minutes. That immediate pressure of real life kicking back in.
Right.
Then there's Neil, Tracy's dad. He kind of steps up as the responsible one, doesn't he? Dealing with the mess, helping Jazzer and Chelsea, and making that point about not showing favoritism. Can't show him favoritism just because he's my brother-in-law.
Yeah, that's telling.
It highlights those unspoken rules, those social contracts that just kind of activate after a party, the host's quiet duty, the guests scrambling back to normal.
And the little details just add so much texture. Martin, trousers or no trousers, cheerfully saying he had a fabulous night. And then the reveal about him and Marlene, they got along splendidly, if you know what I mean.
Which is later confirmed with that wonderfully blunt, done the deed.
Exactly. And Tracy's just mortified. Susan's deadpan comment about needing to sterilize the place all over again. It just captures that mix perfectly, doesn't it? The humor, the embarrassment, the responsibility when things get a bit wild.
Oh, absolutely. That whole sequence, it's really a mini study in party dynamics. It forces us to think about that balance between having fun and being responsible. You know, what are the unspoken rules among friends and family when things go off the rails a bit? Neil cleaning up, Jazzer worrying about work, Tracy cringing. They all show different ways people understand and act on those social duties. It's a good reminder that even fun has its implicit rules.
But it's not all just hangovers and lost trousers, is it? The script hints at deeper things simmering underneath all this.
Let's go back to Pip and Stella's argument for a second. What does that initial clash tell us about maybe cracks in their communication foundation?
Well, that argument, yeah, it's not just about the phone. It really shines a light on maybe deeper patterns of miscommunication between them. Pip feels like she's being shut down, me not getting a word in.
Right.
And Stella feels attacked, judged unfairly. Sorry, but I don't need you jumping to mad conclusions and telling me I'm a rubbish parent.
Yeah, very. And it shows how underlying stress, or maybe old arguments that weren't resolved, can make people react defensively really quickly. It makes it almost impossible to actually hear each other. The problem with the phone issue seems, amplified by other friction that was already there.
And do outside pressures make things worse? Stella mentions being stressed about this BL thing.
Yes.
Feeling stuck between warring old men. And she even has this feeling that something is going to blow at a board meeting.
That's a really key insight, actually. Right. It shows how external pressures, like stress from work, that BL thing, the board meeting drama, can absolutely bleed into family life. It makes internal conflicts worse. Stella's professional anxiety likely makes her less patient, maybe more snappy interpersonal interactions. It's that idea of stress contagion, Problems in one part of your life can reduce your ability to handle things calmly in other areas. You get more defensive, use sharper words, even with people you care about.
That makes sense. There's also that really quite touching, poignant moment when Rosie asks if she can call Stella Mom. And Stella, she handles it sensitively, but she says no. She says, I just think me and Rosie are great as we are. I don't want to jeopardize that for her sake as much as mine.
That's such a crucial moment. It speaks volumes about navigating really complex family situations and setting boundaries. Healthy boundaries. Even when there's love, even with the best intentions, Stella chooses what she sees as stability for Rosie and for their existing relationship over a label.
Yeah.
It shows this deep understanding of perhaps Rosie's emotional world, respecting the current family setup, avoiding potential confusion.
It's about protecting what they have.
Exactly. And related to tricky interpersonal stuff, there's that accusation about Chelsea bullying Amber at school. Tracy immediately denies it, but Susan observes that Chelsea can be pretty forthright.
Right, two different takes.
Which perfectly illustrates how subjective perception is in conflicts. One person's forthright is another person's bullying. It really highlights how much our own interpretation shapes how we see and define conflict.
So wrapping this up, when you listen to all these different threads, the parenting tech debate, the party chaos, these underlying tensions, it makes you think, how much of our own lives are shaped by these small, seemingly unscripted moments, The awkward phone call, the messy morning, the quiet boundary setting.
Yeah, it really does. We've seen how things like communication, setting boundaries, personal responsibility, they're constantly being negotiated, aren't they?
Yeah.
And it leads to outcomes that are sometimes funny, sometimes quite profound, but almost always relatable. This deep dive, even from just a snippet of audio drama, really shows you the rich complexity of everyday human experience. It's all woven together.
So, for you listening, maybe consider this. How often do we actually miss the deeper lessons hidden in our own everyday interactions until we, well, take a moment to unpack them like we've tried to do here? What subtle cues in communication or maybe relationship dynamics might you notice differently now in your own world, having sort of eavesdropped on these characters' lives?
So, what are you doing now?
Just getting ready for the next episode. Just
And,
moving mics around.
So, what do you do?
I do the spot effects on the archers. Any
Are you what we call Foley then?
kind of, yep.
Okay. And these are all part of the paraphernalia of production.
Yep, that's the ball bar.
This one.
Yep, that's.
Haley so wanted to be in their own place when their baby came. It's due in 2 months. Not much chance of that now. No. I mean, it would have been a stretch for them financially, mind, but I just wish there was something practical I could do to help them, Caroline.
I think The Archers has had this immense popularity over the years, basically because it has always very accurately reflected the reality of life and living in a rural community at whatever